We are the Critical Beards. We won't leave you alone, 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 alone. We are the Critical Beards. We won't let you go home, home. Because if you want to laugh and have a good time, you can listen to the Critical Beard podcast.
Beautiful.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Critical Beard podcast episode. Who knows? Because
Who
it's
knows?
been 575,000 years since we
I don't-
recorded a podcast.
Well, we've recorded about 50, but they never got uploaded. They all got lost.
They
So
all.
we've been on for, I don't know, a couple years, but we thought we'd been uploading them.
Sephiroth came to your house and he took them.
You can just hear that in the distance.
We missed you guys so much, and we just really love that you tuned back in to our show that we've never stopped doing.
Yeah, we never stopped.
We've been doing it for so long, consistently every week, and you guys just never tuned in until now again. So that's fun. You know, I always like to start our episodes with a fun little segment I call "What You Playing."
What you playing?
So right now, Anselmo, what do you think?
What am I playing?
What do you think you playing?
I'm playing a game called Look Outside. I don't know if you've heard of it.
I don't like the sound of that one.
You shouldn't look outside. It's like I stumbled on it on Steam, and it's like a top-down like horror RPG. You're like stuck in this apartment building and you can't look out the windows or you will die. And it's pretty cool. The combat it's simple combats. It's kind of like that first person like Dragon Quest Earthbound kind of style.
Okay.
But the sprite work is like Francisco Goya meets like Junji Ito. Like it's freaking creepy. Like it's just disturbing looking. It's pretty awesome. It was like $10. I picked it up. I was playing the Trails from the Sky,
Cold Trails of the Skies.
Cold Trails of the Heroes' Journeys.
Heroes of the Daybreak.
I needed a break because I'd played through Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and I'm like, I need a break from all this Japanese role playingness. So, well, I'm like, what's the opposite? A little horror game. So,
is it American?
Yeah, American.
It's an American horror game. That is pretty the opposite of a Japanese role playing.
Apostrophe American.
Hell yeah, brother.
Hell yeah, brother.
Is you liking it? Is it good?
It's good. It has like exploration. It's like focused on exploration. So you explore this apartment building that you're stuck in for 15 days, and it kind of has like a Persona-ish kind of time mechanic where like you go and explore the apartment building, and when you do specific things, or like for instance, if you go back to your apartment, then time will pass. So you kind of have to manage resources and going back to your apartment for stuff, but that takes time away. Or you can like do stuff to raise certain stats, but that'll take time, stuff like that. It's really the sprite work that I saw, and I'm like, that's messed up looking. I'm in.
It sounds scary. It sounds like I wouldn't like it.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like up your alley at all. You know.
The only time I get behind horror games is when there can't be like Resident.
Yeah, you don't like spookies.
Well, I didn't even like the Resident Evil games when they tried to get too spooky, like 7. That game was terrifying because it was just scary. I was like, I like it when you're like a cool. When you're like Leon and he's like spouting one-liners and he's like, "Hey, fuck off, guy," and he like shoots somebody in the nuts.
Or about to actually kill a sandwich.
The Jill sandwich. Or like, yeah, when you like in 4, he's like diving out the windows from like
Yeah.
3-story buildings and
Or
just
in
landing
5, where the
perfectly
guy's
fine.
like punching a boulder out of the way. You know?
Oh man. Even, you know, the Resident Evil 4 remake actually did have some extra stuff in there that scared the pants off of me, boy.
Well,
That game actually does get scary.
Painless, so I don't have that problem.
Good. You should.
Especially
As you do.
no pants.
No pants.
Caught off
Not
guard.
today, not tomorrow.
So yeah, look outside. It's creepy. It's fun.
Is it don't look outside or do look outside? Which one do you do? Don't look outside.
Look outside.
It's just called look outside. But if you do the thing in the title of the game, you die.
Yeah. And it's kind of like this cosmic horror thing. Like you open up the windows and like the guy's eyes start like exploding out of his skull, and it's like, okay, I shouldn't look outside. All right. And like everyone in the apartment building is like slowly like deteriorating into these Lovecraftian and Junji Ito disgusting creatures.
Same.
Pretty cool.
I feel that.
I'm
constantly
I wake up and I'm
turning
like,
into a Lovecraftian creature.
So what you playing?
Well, actually tonight I just beat a little game called Split Fiction.
Oh yes. Yeah, the guy who did with Brothers and Prisoners and
Brothers and Prisoners and the Married Couple.
The Married Couple.
Yeah.
There's always 2 of them.
He did. It Takes Two, A Way Out, Brothers, and then this is the new one, Split Fiction. I've pretty much went through the game mostly with my 5-year-old son.
So how long did that take you?
I think it's like 15 to 20 hours. It's pretty long. Like it kind of keeps going when you think the game's over. For those of you who don't know, the game is split right down the middle, and one player's on the left side of the screen, one player's on the right side of the screen.
Fiction.
And one girl is a science fiction writer, the other one is a fantasy writer, and so you get trapped in their narrative shit, and then so you're in these different worlds, but there's all kinds of super creative ways to play the game. Like there's one where you're like dragons, and you're like each dragon has different powers, and you're doing this thing, and then there's one where you're 2 heads of the same centipede, and you're trying to navigate through the environment. It's crazy. I notoriously don't really like Joseph Fares's games. I picked this one up because my wife, Heather, and my son, Booker, was like, yo, that looks cool. We want to play that. And I was like, really, guy? Okay. Because I didn't love It Takes Two. I really just didn't like the characters in that game. The gameplay was cool, but the story was irritating to me. I just really hated the characters. They were just really unlikable. This one, they're much more likable, and it's cool. They're like, I don't know, they're just not annoying like they were in the last game, in my opinion, at least. But yeah, you're doing all kinds of cool stuff, and it's really creative. And some of the stuff that you do is just like, how the fuck did they come up with this? How did like co-op? It's like there's a part at the end of the game that I won't spoil, but it's like, I have no idea how that works. As a game tester who does that for a living, I have no idea how they got this game through like QA testing, because I just don't even know how you do that, or how you even design it in that way. But highly recommend, especially if you like co-op games. I'm not a big co-op guy.
There's not a lot of them.
He's like, especially now.
Live, really.
And it's only $50, brand new. It's not an expensive game. But yeah, I definitely recommend it. It's cool. I'm also right at the tail end of Xenoblade Chronicles X. I think I'm on chapter 12. I think that's the end. I don't know. That game will never end, probably. But
I hope it does, because it never got to end you. So
yeah. The game continues to just wow me. It's like, man, that game was like one of the best games I've ever played.
I've heard. I didn't read the article itself, but I mean, this is just an internet comment I saw on an article. I didn't follow through. I just was like, oh, Takahashi wants to make another X Chronicles X game.
Oh, like an X2.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no. He's gonna have a job system and a bunch of girls in funny outfits. And
that was just Chronicles 2, man. I don't know what happened with that game. I don't know what happened to that game.
No, I was actually making a Final Fantasy X2 joke.
Oh.
10-2.
It still transcribes onto Chronicles.
It really does. I was thinking, well, as I was making the joke, I was like, this actually just kind of sounds like the game already, because it's already like there's a bunch of waifu chicks, and you're already like, because most of your party throughout X is like girls, because the guy characters are all kind of like way lamer. Like they really, the main characters are all like the female characters, and the male characters in the game are really like either forgettable. You get Nagi, he's cool. He's like the captain or whatever, but he's like the only cool male character you get. The other ones are doofy as hell. There's like Doug. There's a guy named Doug, and he just has a giant forehead. It's like, I don't want you in my team. Yeah, I don't like it. But yeah, no, that game is incredible. Piloting mechs and flying across an open world like Breath of the Wild, but you have a fucking vehicle, and it's like, what is this? And then, the Switch 2 is coming out soon, and there's a 60 frames that people have hackers have gone into the game and figured out there's a 60 frames a second download patch that probably is unlocked by the Switch 2.
Yeah.
And I cannot wait to play that game in 60 frames a second, because that's like my only real gripe is the game does sort of feel like molasses sometimes, especially when you're in those big open environments and everything's firing on all cylinders and you're playing on a glorified Samsung tablet.
Like 8-year-old handheld,
Yeah, that thing's dying. It's impressing me, but it's also just dying. It's like, help me, I can't do this no more.
Please replace me.
Kill me.
$450, please.
I won't kill you until I transfer my save data.
It's so violent.
Yeah, well, that's how me and the games get. I get weird.
So
yeah,
the topic for today is about video games, as you probably would have guessed. That is why I brought you here today. Classic games, those retro games, which of course retro for us is different than retro for younger kids. It's like PlayStation 2. That still kind of blows my mind, but yeah. We're old. It's like, that's okay. But just are modern games better, or are retro games better than modern games? Like, where are the trends at? Are we progressing in a good direction?
I think modern games have the benefit of quality of life stuff, but at the same time,
true,
it has the opposite effect, because to get the quality of life things like save states and checkpoints and all these easier things, maybe higher frame rates or what have you, but like you also have to like mostly be connected to some sort of service to do things.
Especially if you're on PC, like a lot of
like controllers are wireless now, so I feel like every time I sit down to play a game, especially when I'm trying to play a game with my son and we're trying to do a 2-player thing, we're trying to get it set up, and oh my god, okay, let's play this game. It's on Game Pass. Okay, we're connected to the thing, and okay, we got to connect to it's not connected. Hold on, let me check the internet connection. Okay, yeah, it needs to verify our license for this game because we're paying for this service and it's streaming, this and that, and then it's like, okay, we got it. Okay, get our controllers. All right, and you turn it on. Fuck, one of them's dead. We got to charge this controller. and the other day, this really did happen to me, where I got so upset. I just got so tired of waiting for like the modern games. They're pissing me off, and it's like, god dang it. And then we're like trying to play Minecraft, and we were trying to connect the controllers to the thing, but then it was trying to download an update. And that's the thing. It's like some games need an update, but the service you're using needs an update, and it's like, you're like, man, how long have we been here? We've been trying to set this up for
that is the game now. The
30
game.
minutes. And so then I got mad and I just said, you know what? I said, screw it. It's like I grabbed Star Fox Assault, which is a game nobody talks about anymore, for GameCube. Popped it in the GameCube, turned it on, grabbed the controller, handed it to my son, and we started, because they have back in the old days when games had a single player campaign and a multiplayer thing where you had all these multiplayer maps included. And so you just pop up and there's a death match. There's a 4-player death match in that game where you run around and shoot each other. And we started playing that, and my kid was going crazy. He loved it, man. We played it forever, and it was like, what were we doing? What were we trying to do that it was so much better on the modern console than what we did on the GameCube? That's an old man take, probably, but you know what? I don't care.
Yeah, I feel like we're gonna have a lot of old man takes.
Yeah. Spoiler alert: we are old man.
So hold on, I gotta move the hair out of my ears because I'm old. Can you say that again, Jenny?
We are old man.
But yes, no, definitely there is kind of a double-edged sword when it comes to the modern games, because I mean, when it comes to like following modern franchises, like picking up a new Final Fantasy, and if they ever come out with another Metal Gear, other than the remake of Delta coming up, like Metal Gear, I'll pick up Metal Gear, but like I don't follow trends anymore. For me, it's just, I know it's like this with every like generation of games, but like there's always one kind of genre trope that they just stick on and just write it into the ground until every game looks like that. That's kind of like, even going back to like the NES, like there was the popular genre and people just made clones of it until just it was ubiquitous.
Contra. Yeah.
That's not new. That's old news. But I just got sick of just like following like, oh, every game is Last of Us, over the shoulder action cinematic,
Yeah, the third person over the shoulder shooter, cinematic shooter thing. It's like I am like completely checked out of that genre. And I used to really like Uncharted when it first came out. It was so cool. Yeah. And playing Uncharted 2, I was like, this is insane. And now I'm thinking I can't even go back and play Uncharted games because I'm so tired of that genre. I just can't do it anymore.
Yeah. And I think it's funny that you brought up Split Fiction, because there's not, I mean, this is kind of a AAA problem in general, where there's just like, other than Nintendo is still willing to like diversify their genres, now Metroid Prime 4, but like the AAA space is it's afraid to take risks, or they're just the industry is too bloated that they can't afford to take risks. They put so much money into marketing, and they have these teams of like 1,000 people. Like Call of Duty is like handfuls of entire companies working on this.
Yeah, dude. I went from, working QA on Call of Duty was like an entire building of people just working on QA versus where I work now, which is like, I work QA at like, there's maybe 13, 14 people. Like, it's not like, it's not like this massive thing. And it's just, it is crazy. Some of those games, like, I imagine, and a lot of people I work with have come from Epic Games, came from Activision, and it's like that's what their experience was. They were like, throw everyone at the wall and just see what happens.
See what sticks. Yeah, and it's the lack of innovation, which has a reason. It's not like they're not innovating for no reason. It's not a good reason, but there's lack of innovation, and like everything has to be cinematic now. Goes back to like Metal Gear. Like Metal Gear Solid changed video games. Mm-hmm. Like it really brought in, hey, maybe video games can be cinematic. Like maybe we can take it seriously and it can be cinematic. But now it's like, okay, guys, dial it back a little bit. Now everything has to be, hey, can we make this into an HBO series? You know, like
Dude,
it's
I get honestly, I'm to the point where I really don't like I'm almost don't want narratives in my games anymore because I'm just so tired of and like you start the game and it's like
low.
one thing that's really drives me crazy about modern games is the over tutorialization of every single thing. I mean, and I have Game Pass, so I like to pop in on a game and just check it out for 10-15 minutes. Sometimes, I have a kid, I'm a dad. My kid, he goes to bed. I got a few moments to spare. And I'm trying to get my game on. I got 20 minutes. I jump into a game, and let's not forget the let's download the patch and turn on the internet and plug in my controllers. Oh no, it's dead. Let me charge it first. Then the game starts going, and then I'm like, all right, I can't wait to play this new game. And it's like, okay, press the X button and jump. Don't ever tell me that. Don't ever tell me how to jump in a game.
I can find out myself. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Like if there's some really expanded mechanic that I really
Right.
need to know about that you're changing in this game, sure.
But the
Maybe
thing
let
is,
me know. But
yeah, they don't. It's always just like third person over the shoulder action cinematic game with RPG mechanics of like a skill tree or something. Like you don't need a mountain of tutorials to explain a skill tree to anyone now. Like you don't.
it's funny because for being the company that uh, you know, caters to children all the time. It's funny that Nintendo actually does a good job of tutorialization for the most part. I mean, most Mario games you put it in and you're playing the game within the first like 10 minutes and it's not sitting there like, okay, press jump. No, jump, jump, jump 3 times. Those games where it's like do the thing 3 times so we know you've got it. Dude, dude, kill me.
No, I think that's interesting because Nintendo is the only uh, company that has a lineage longer than 1995. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like PlayStation
Yeah.
came out and it was a whole
Sega.
yeah, but they're not around they're just a publisher now. They don't.
Oh, dare you?
Sega's a whole other story.
I still make Sega consoles. I do.
They're a whole nother story. But PlayStation came out and it was like all new platform, all new technology. Our games are going to be in 3D. So because of that, they had to no one knew how to play 3D. I didn't know how to play 3D when it came, so there were a lot of tutorials. And I think that spirit carried on somehow. Where Nintendo, it's like, dude, you go right and you hit a button to jump. Okay, like it's not that complicated.
Well, even like in Nintendo games, like you'll be playing like what's the example popping in my head right now is like Mario Galaxy. Mario Galaxy was a game that not only had more like not traditional controls because you were holding a weird thing, but it also had pointer controls and stuff.
Yeah,
and I played through that. I never even played through Mario Galaxy 2. I believe it's the only 3D Mario I have not beaten, and it's just because I didn't have it as a kid. So I was playing through it the other day, and it's like there's so much complex things that they show you, so much complex things, so many complex things, and you're learning to use the Wiimote and point at the thing and do this and that, and it's also like not an easy game. That's like probably one of the more difficult Mario games. It's like got a lot of mechanics, and then you get on Yoshi, and it's like do this and that, and then you got to do. But like it never does the game just stop and be like, hey,
yeah,
do this and do this. Okay, you got that. It's like you'll be running around. And it's like it'll be like, hey, if you want to press it, you're already in control, and it's like you can press A to jump. Oh, cool. And there's be enemies in the sky, and it's like, oh, you're gonna if you want to target, and it shows just like a little icon floating. It's like the little Wiimote. It's like point it at the screen, and the way they do it in those games is so much more.
It's like they don't tell you how to do it. They show you how to do it, then you do it. Like it's and not then, like read this text. Yeah. And then somehow apply it to the game. Go, dude, go.
If I can remember a tutorial for a game, then they did it wrong. You know,
That
like
is true.
think about Breath of the Wild. That first, the first,
Plateau.
the plateau,
Yeah.
that is essentially a glorified tutorial area, but it's amazing. It's
Yeah.
perfect, and they teach you how to do
And it
everything in the
doesn't feel
game.
like a tutorial area
And never is it like, does it
until you
pause
get
the
off of
game
it.
and
Like,
yell
holy
at
crap, that
you?
was a tutorial area.
Yeah. It's like coming down off a fucking mushroom high. That was the best tutorial I
So
ever did.
I think older games, especially like SNES era, NES era, uh, they relied a lot on abstraction in terms of gameplay, right? It's like,
Mm.
especially like in RPGs, it's like, I am not actually a 40-story tall person walking through a field. I'm not actually, like, the battles are all abstract. Like, everything's abstract. The stories were abstract. You kind of had to fill in the blanks using your imagination. But then again, like, everything tried to be like a movie. Everything tried to be like Metal Gear Solid, and
Mm-hmm.
it kind
I
of
mean,
took
I
it
feel
took out
like
that
it.
abstraction. It's like, we don't need abstraction anymore. We can make it concrete now. And games slowly stopped being fun and more like a chore, like watching a TV series.
I kind of blame it on. I think to me, it's like Metal Gear, Half-Life 2, BioShock, and Uncharted. I think those games probably are the ones that are like, did story really well and kind of did this thing, but then like now everyone's just trying to
Right.
live those games over and over again. But one thing that like Half-Life 2 did so well was you were always in control of your character.
Yeah.
Like you never were not in control of your character. Even in cutscenes, they would come up and talk to you and stuff, and they never really took control away from you for very long. And then like Uncharted was more, it was like fun, and they kept it light and fun and airy and brisk, and it was never too intense. And then like BioShock, I think, was similar to Half-Life, where they didn't really take control away from you for very long. Like, and if you did, it was just sort of like
So they
looking
had
at a
that
character.
ambient storytelling where you collected these audio logs and you listen to them, and it fleshes out the world, fleshes out character, the character you're going to meet in the next level, it fleshes them out. So when you meet them, you're like, oh, this guy is a crazy plastic surgeon, but now I understand his motivations and what he's done and why he's like this. Instead of
But
just,
never,
here is a 10-minute long cinematic. Like, now I want to play the game.
yeah, and you're taking away control away, or taking control away from the character when you don't have anything to say. It's really irritating. Like Metal Gear did it in such a incredible way, and those stories speak for themselves. I don't have to sit here and carry water for Metal Gear, but like,
For
I
some
mean,
people, understandably don't like the series. I totally get
it's
it.
fine. It's
And
it's a
I think
little,
what Kojima
it's ham-fisted sometimes, but
Kojima tried to do with the series is kind of misunderstood in terms of like what the industry took from it. Like, the industry took, oh, cool, we're allowed to be cinematic now. I guess we should just put everything into that, you know? Where I think Kojima was, I mean, to be honest, I think deep down Kojima just wants to be a director.
yeah.
I think that's just, I think he's denounced that in the past. Like, he's like, no, it's like, I don't know, man. Like, I think you just want to be a director.
I think he likes to be known as the director of video games, though. Like, I think that if he was just a director of a regular movie, he'd be in the same field as all these other people. He'd have way too much competition. But right now, he's still the top of his class because, he's worshipped in this field.
I think kind of dropping that abstract, because I was playing a little bit of Chrono Trigger the other day. Just popped it on. I'm like, I'm gonna play some Chrono Trigger. I love
It's a good game. I've heard it's good. I've never.
It's so good because it's so simple, yet like it grabs you.
Sorry.
But yeah,
Every time anyone says Chrono Trigger, that's just immediately what happens in my brain.
Robo.
Oh yeah, the Robo theme.
Not Rick Astley. I know it sounds like Rick Astley, but it's Robo's theme. Anyway, music is freaking. That's a whole nother thing. Video game music tries to be like cinematic scores, which I don't know if you've been to the movies in the past 10 years, but cinematic scores are boring as hell. They're not
trash.
They're like objectively not good. They're boring. They don't take risks. They don't try to be different or give tone to the story. They're just like, let's make it sound like Hans Zimmer, right? That's fine. Whatever. I don't care.
Just Hans Zimmer or John Williams, just do whatever do what they do, but without the the soul, Yeah, it does. It everything sounds like this is a Hans Zimmer or John Williams song, except that one note was different, it's in slightly different tempo. But yeah, back to like what I was saying is like if you're not gonna have anything to say, don't take control away from the player. And I think to me, modern games do such a bad job, especially like lately the ones I've seen. It's like constantly running up to you start on a beach and you run up and it's like, hi, I'm here, and you gotta say, go pick up that stick over there, and it's like go pick, and then it's like screen pops up to pick up stick this, now press this to fight, do this and this button does this, and it's like, stop doing that, dude. Just can you let me fucking figure it out for once?
Speaking of Xenoblade Chronicles 2.
Okay, well,
no,
to be fair,
you cannot defend the tutorials in that game. 40 hours in, they're still giving me tutorials, man.
Yes, but Xenoblade games have incredibly deep fighting mechanics.
They didn't do it in 3 or 1.
In 3, they're giving you tutorials like all the way through to the end of the game.
But like you said, they're not bad tutorials if you don't remember them. And I don't remember them. That's
true. No, and 2 is the worst of the bunch, and that's true. But it does have a very they're kind of needlessly complicated. It's funny because the first game is like, people say, oh, it's too simple. I actually really like the simple combat of the first game, but then the other games people yell at it because they're too complicated, and it's like, well, what do you want to do? But 2 was the biggest offender. But yeah, I not all modern games do that, but I mean, there's so many that over tutorialize, and that is probably, I think, the other thing that is really irritating about modern games. I recently fell in love with a game called Elden Ring. You might have heard of it. I got it was weird. I've tried to like that game. I fell off of it. I was like, I don't get it. I hate it. It's stupid, and everyone who likes it is stupid. And then I got really sick and weird one day last year, and I just was like, I'm gonna play that game, and I'm gonna fucking like it. And it just and so I was like really sick.
That's like every FromSoft player story. They're like, I'm gonna cry and scream until I like it, and then one day it clicks.
It's so crazy how it clicks, and when it does click, it's like, oh shit, I just beat that dude and I didn't take any damage. What the fuck just happened? And you're like sitting on the couch, you're like dying, and you get up, you're like, wait, what?
You're like, wait a minute, was that a fugue state? Like, what happened?
What is going on? I like blacked out, and like I seriously, like, no joke, I have very little memory of this. I like basically blacked out and beat the entire game, then beat the entire DLC, including the final boss of the DLC, who everyone says is the hardest boss in all RPG history and the hardest boss in all FromSoft games. And I fucking just beat the whole thing. I don't know what happened. I don't remember it that well because I was sick.
It sounds like a classic FromSoft fugue state.
It was, but it was awesome. And I remember like when it did click, and I started like, because I was like getting over my sickness and also like getting on the high of like finally understanding that game and being like, oh my God, it's brilliant. I finally understand. And I'm just going through and I'm just loving the game. And by the end of that game, what people don't tell you is one of my favorite things ever in a game is just when you get overpowered. I love that in every game. One of my favorite things in Symphony of the Night, I love when you just get to the point where you're just demolishing everything in the game. I love that. People say, "Oh, it's too easy." Shut up.
Yeah, that's another thing. Like modern games are obsessed with a perfectly non-delineated power curve of difficulty.
Mm-hmm.
Fun. Like, no, I don't want
Dude.
a straight line. I don't want at the end of the game, I don't want to feel like
Oh,
I'm like, oh, the final boss is really powerful, but like I don't want to feel relative to the final boss the same as the first boss. I want to feel like
I
I
want to feel like
just
I've
spent 40
mastered.
hours becoming this super badass and I'm going to crush him. And they
And
don't
what
give you that option anymore. And it used to be an option. Like you didn't have to do that. You could just, like in JRPGs, you could just like do the
could
natural
cheese it.
curve.
You could kind of cheese it and find little things you could do to make it easy. And then you could just like, level up as much as you want and then go fight whatever and you could be ridiculous.
Yeah.
And there's a point in Elden Ring where you do, because it is open world, it's not just like this more linear like the Souls games or the Dark Souls games. You become God. You are like fucking this absolute just badass, and you basically make your own class. So you like decide you're like, I'm gonna be a fire. You just make shit up because you're like, I'm gonna be a fucking fire samurai who has like lightning powers, whatever. And then you go through and you're just like clearing out all these dudes who were giving you so much trouble before. You're just one hitting everybody, and you're like, come on me. So that's so cool. And I thought, man, you know what? That's it. I'm a Souls guy now. I get it, and I love Souls games. So the thing that's really common, what you were saying, is this modern games doing this genre over and over and over and over again. Souls likes.
Yes.
Every damn game is a Souls like, because for the success of not only Dark Souls, but Elden Ring is like one of the greatest selling games of all time now. And every game is a Souls-like, and I went back and I tried a bunch of Souls-like games, newer ones that were coming out or demos. For instance, I tried this demo for a game called First Berserker Kazan.
Yeah.
Ben Starr is the main character from Final Fantasy 16, Clive. I was like, okay, Ben Starr is in there, like him, and then I started playing it, and it's just a Souls-like, and it did this like over tutorial thing, and it did all the things I hate in modern games.
It's the same thing with like what you're saying with like Half-Life 2, BioShock, Uncharted. It's like the industry, whatever that means, the industry at large, like they see this inventive new subgenre, and then they try to like transpose it on pre-existing ones. Kind of like the skill trees and the RPG mechanics. They're like, hey, that's pretty popular.
Skill trees in every game.
So it's like, hey, Souls-like combat's pretty popular, and not realizing, but it's not just the combat that makes that game so popular.
It's all of it. And the thing about like Elden Ring is it's going to go down in history. That's the same as those other games, as Metal Gear, as Zelda, as Half-Life. It's going to be one of those games because of the way it was crafted. It is brilliantly made in all aspects. And like you said, it's not just the combat, but the combat is still better than all of the ones that those people try to bite off. And so you're playing this game. It's like the combat's not as good, the story's not as good, the music's not as good, and then they're over tutorializing in a fucking Souls game. What are you doing?
Like millions of people haven't been playing this genre for the past 5-10 years.
But then the games are hard because, right, all Souls games have to be hard. But the thing that makes them good isn't because they're hard. It's because they're well-crafted experiences that like make you feel. It's like such a perfectly well-built thing that like makes you feel like you actually beat this thing finally. When it's a badly designed Souls game, dude, it's so bad because that genre doesn't just work for everyone. It doesn't work for everything. It just works for this one kind of thing, in my opinion, at least. I mean, and there's some people who have kind of done it that are okay.
That's really interesting that we got on the Souls-like, because that is kind of the last like vestige of old retro game design, where it's player driven, like the gameplay loop and the progression and everything.
Don't tell.
It feels like the player is making progress because the player is working to make progress. It's not, here is a cutscene and then an open world with a quest marker, and I go to it, activate another quest, and then go over to this quest marker, and then go to this tower and activate some more. It's not like putting down little pieces of candy for people to follow. Like that's not a game. That's just like, I don't know. Like it's not a game. It's like a ride, you know?
Yeah.
Like it, and it's not just the difficulty, because when it first came out, I'm like, oh, I remember when the first when Dark Souls really got popular, I was like, man, this is like a return of like a Ninja Gaiden nail biting, just like I died, I need to try again. I died, I need to try again.
Game.
And I mean, that was just a surface level kind of like thought, but it really does kind of like they are the last kind of, or the newest or last, hopefully not the last, but so far they are the only one keeping that spirit of player driven gameplay, where games should be player driven. Like it shouldn't be this catered experience where everyone gets the same. That's the thing, like it doesn't matter who plays game X, everyone's going to get the same experience because it's all been catered to that experience. The difficulty level's been catered, the narrative's been catered, like everything. Like that's what I mean by like abstraction back in the day. It was so abstracted, like especially like in dialogue and JRPGs, where like they had such a character limit because they had to translate this 100,000 character Japanese script into 50,000 English, and they didn't have the space for it, so they had to kind of condense the words, and it sometimes just kind of read like not good. So even the narrative back then, you had to use your imagination. You had to kind of fill in the holes, use your imagination, and even in that essence, it was kind of player driven because it was kind of on you.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of games now, like modern games, the worst offenders, it does, like you said, it feels like it's like a ride. It's like,
it's like really Disney, you know?
Yeah, and that's fine because rides are fun. I get it.
There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with it.
But see, my kid plays these games on his tablet, so like he'll be playing a game and it's like flip the ball to hit the other balls, and like in the game is no intention of letting you lose, and there are these free to play games and he's doing it, and then it's like another ad pops up. You want to play this game, and in this one you have a snake and you can I want that one. Oh, Dad, look, I got a snake game, and it's like you can't lose, you can't do anything. It's not really meant to be anything other than like it's like a ride. It's not meant to be like it's not an actual like video game. It's not, it's like I don't know. I know that sounds almost like elitist, but
games are kind of a zero. They're not a zero-sum game anymore. Like you can't lose. You cannot lose at modern games. You can't.
I mean, I guess it depends on your definition of lose.
Well, I mean,
it depends on.
Can you? Because you can either. I mean, it auto saves so often, and there are no lives. Obviously, there's no game over screen. There's no continues. So, like, the only thing stopping you from beating it is you giving up.
Sure.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, but see, and the weirdest thing too is I actually the weird thing I talk shit about games that do this that we're talking about, but I also will still play them. I mean, like, I want to go play Assassin's Creed Shadows. I'm hearing a lot of people say that the game is pretty good, and I know it's going to be a generic open world Ubisoft kind of amusement ride. But at the same time, I'm like, like a little amusement ride through Japan as an assassin kind of sounds fun to me right now. And the graphics.
I mean, that's one thing that Assassin's Creed. I've never played any of the games. This is just an outsider, but I feel like the thing that they kind of fell into at doing best is kind of catering these like era like rides.
They're like power fantasies. They're like power.
Like, hey, let's go historical power fantasies. Let's go explore ancient Egypt. And you go and explore ancient Egypt. You learn things about ancient Egypt, and it's like, wow, that's cool. Or like Vikings. It's like, hey, let's go explore Vikings and look at all the lands and different clans. And like, I feel like that's kind
I really didn't like that one because
I heard it went on like
I
Legendary.
played that one just thinking back, to playing the Viking Valhalla, and like doing missions where you're this giant Viking and you're like sneaking into a building. No one's gonna hear me. It's like, what a stupid concept. What the hell? Like, that game is
But like,
ridiculous.
I feel like, well, you said like I'm gonna play the new one because like you want to explore ancient Japan.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like that's
Yeah.
what they're kind of falling into, which goes in. It's funny because it goes into the whole ride phenomenon, right? At least they have that down. They're like they know what they are. They're like, hey,
Yeah, they
we're gonna pick
nail
a time,
the
time
visual
period.
presentation.
We're gonna
Yeah.
extend the time period. You know?
And really that's why I played the very first Assassin's Creed. It's like I played through it and I was never like, this is a good video game. I was like, this is just fun to just run around and dive off of shit. Like, this is the kind of game that I want to show someone if like my mom comes over and I'm like, Mom, look at this game. This is crazy. She's like, wow, those graphics are whale.
Those graphics.
Who those graphics? But yeah, I don't know. And so I guess my final point, or my final speaking of Assassin's Creed and speaking of this, um, my final gripe on modern games is level scaling. I think you kind of hinted at it before.
Yeah.
Which is where the whole world just levels up with you, and it's like
the difficulty level is a flat line. And that's not fun.
I hate level scaling. I want to feel like I am getting better, and I don't want to get to level 47 and then turn around and look at that field. Which is why I like Xenoblade, is because at the very beginning of the game, you run into a dude who's like a giant monster who's level 50, and you're like level 2, and you're like, not today, sir. And then you're like, but I will come back at you.
I'll remember you.
And later you come back over that hill and you're level, 65. You're like, anyways, but yeah.
Raiders March.
What did I do?
Raiders March. The song you were
Is that
singing?
what it's called? Raiders March?
Yeah, the Raiders March.
Raiders March?
From the Raiders of the Lost Ark.
No, that's Indiana Jones, idiot.
Ooh,
that was the first song. That was the first song I ever learned. I think it was the first song I ever learned in band.
Mine was God, what's that Santana song?
Oh, yes, we learned that one too. Yeah, that might have been the first one actually.
I remember like on the trumpet.
Yeah, I had to. It was the trumpet.
Yeah, trumpet players.
Trumpet, actually, is the way they pronounce it.
So like what good things? I mean, we've been talking a lot of negative things,
So save states, that goes for more like modern ports of older games, I guess. But
save states, but again, I think it dampens kind of the win-lose,
Yes, it is not the same.
Something kind of like, I still play a lot of old JRPGs, obviously, and there's something kind of like exciting about, I got to get to the next save point. I'm running low on stuff. You get to a save point, and you get to a save point, sense of relief.
For that genre of game, yes, but save states, in my opinion, are so much better for games like old Castlevanias, old Mega Mans, where you're like, I really don't want to play the whole game over again because I died. I'd like to just
see. That's okay. So that gets to another point. So, is it just rose tinted glasses? Because we can look back on those old games and we can be like, those are foundational designs, and they were very important to the projection of the industry as a whole, and they're important and they're fun, but can you seriously look at something like Contra or Mega Man, any of those hard games, and be like, yes, those are still fun and applicable today, anyone could, knowing you know what I mean?
Well, I think they are, because I think there's plenty of people who get into those games that are younger, who want to devote themselves to the retro thing. There's a lot of kids who are like into the retro gaming stuff. And there's a guy sometimes I'll like trade. Cause I have a lot of retro games, and sometimes I'll just trade with somebody. I'll post something on Facebook Marketplace for money, and then they'll hit me up. They're like, "Hey, did you want to trade your Donkey Kong 64 for my copy of Gradius on SNES?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure, complete in box or whatever." And so like, "Sure, we'll do it. We'll just do it even swap. I'll meet up with him." And I'm like, okay, so this guy's like 45, and I'll meet up with him, and he's 20, and I'm like, what? Like, why are you playing old games, man? And it's like, oh yeah, and like,
do you think that's
dude
like
who just bought a Dreamcast? Like, I met a dude the other day. It was he was like 19 or something. He had like just bought a Dreamcast. I was like, why? I mean, that's cool, but like, you have no nostalgia.
Do you think that's because kind of the modern industry is just stagnated?
I think people are getting bored of, and I think a lot of the thing is there's a lot of amazing modern games that just don't get the spotlight. I think the popular games are really spinning out. They're spinning their tires on kids like that who are tired of Fortnite, tired of Call of Duty Warzone. They're tired of Overwatch or whatever. They want something different. And I think jumping backwards in time to those games is like, whoa, like this slice of history. I mean, it's like when you got out of high school and you started wanting to dive into like old movies and stuff, and you started watching The Godfather or Clockwork Orange. You're like, ooh, what is this about?
Yeah.
I think it is kind of like that because we don't have that because we were just there for the dawn of games. So it's like
apart from Magnavox, Odyssey, Atari.
And I argue
so bare bones. It's like
a lot. Most Atari games. I had an Atari. Most Atari games just don't hold up. I mean, they're just not. And I would even argue that most NES games don't hold up. I don't think games really started to form in their like prime version until like the 16-bit era. I think Genesis and SNES is where like fucking this is it, brother. This is it. This is gaming right here. You gotta take a lick.
And that's kind of the problem with maybe this isn't just industry, it's industry and culture, is like the lack of preservation, of these older games. I mean, got to give it to Nintendo. At least you got to pay for it, but at least they're still pushing out, virtual. They don't call it virtual console anymore. What do they call it?
It's just online. Nintendo Online, Nintendo. What the hell is it called? It's just like it's just the app.
Let's call it virtual console.
Sure.
But like they're still promoting this virtual console, which is awesome because they recognize that people want to explore these older games. These older games have value, and that people are interested in kind of like, hey, I like Mario Wonder. I wonder what the older Marios are like.
Well, and a lot of if you play like Mario Odyssey, and there's the whole level where you go to New Donk City, and you're basically playing it's old Mario, or like if you're watching watching the new Sonic movies, they have all these homages to the old school Sonics. Even the intro screen is like old Sonic running across the screen, and those kids have to be kind of interested in that, right? I mean, what's that about? Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, yeah, there seems to be an interest. So maybe we're not crazy.
I mean, that's debatable, but
maybe I'm not crazy.
What do you? Because the industry is so like they for the last like couple of years they've tried like the live service model. It's just fallen apart. Like it's not working. Like, what do you see as kind of what could pull it out of the rut other than just like a new hot subgenre shows up and then they milk that? Like, because that's kind of what it's always been. Like, hey, a hot genre, let's kind of milk it. But I feel like that's kind of reaching like diminishing returns of that style of like industry innovation.
The funny thing about it is games don't really excite me anymore, which is a shame. But like, I mean, for the most part, I mean, there are some, but like for the most part, I mean, even games where on paper I should be excited, like the new Doom looks awesome, and I'm gonna play it, but like I'm just not excited about it. I don't know why. I don't know why. And it's, I mean, those games are good, and it just
And you have to
they've done
take into
everything
account
right.
that we're
I'm
old.
just, yeah, I'm not, I don't get excited. I don't get excited. And then like I think the only modern game on modern console, right now that's coming out that excites me personally is Expedition 33, the Claire Obscure. And a lot of that is just because like here's
Someone's actually doing
a
something.
bunch of classic stuff, and
Yeah.
kind of, it's a JRPG, but it's French, and it's got this really dark story, and it's got
But
this
they're bringing
turn-based
back the
system.
overworld, something that like
Yeah, the overworld. And
like
I was just, I'm like, dude, everything about this game screams like Lost Odyssey or Final Fantasy 10, kind of, just different games that I really like. I like the graphical style, I like the movement, that like that late PS2, early 360 era RPGs that I just I don't know. I'm down for that one. But like other than that, the only thing that's really excites me, and this is probably going to be a pretty obvious answer, and I do work for Nintendo, so I mean this is whatever, but like watching the Switch 2 announcement, the thing that got me so excited was just that new Mario Kart World and the new Donkey Kong game. Like that new Donkey Kong game, especially, I don't know what it is, but just the idea of smashing through the environment and like just there's just
Red
no
Faction
end to
style.
it. Just like bashing through stuff. Like I was like, man,
Old school fun.
I can't wait to play that game. Like I'm really excited for that game. I don't know why. It's just like I don't know what it is about Nintendo that they just like they have something there, and it's really hard to understand what it is or why. But a lot of it is everything we talked about in this video was like um they kind of listen sounds like they kind of listen to all of that, like internally at least, where it's like, don't annoy people with tutorials. Let people play the game.
I think
Actually
it's
put
just like
all of the game
they've always
on the
been.
cartridge, where you don't really have to download an update unless it's like an online, game. Like
Yeah.
most of those games, like almost all Nintendo published games, you don't even have to download a patch most of the time. Like
Yeah.
if you put a Metroid Prime Remastered, if you put that in your Switch and you've never played that game before, it's just like, you want to play it? You're like, what? What do you mean you want to play it? You don't have to install an update. It's like, no, we're good. Go ahead. And it's like the same thing happened to me with Xenoblade Chronicles X. I put that shit on my Switch. I was ready for an update, and it was like, you want to play it? And I'm like, no way! I get to play this right when I put it in the console. That's fucking crazy. What is this, 1998 or something, bro? So
And
I don't know. Yeah.
Nintendo, they still have that kind of toy company.
Yeah.
Like
they make
mentality.
fun. They make games, not experiences. They make games.
Yeah, they make games because games are meant to be fun. Yeah, I think the biggest thing. I mean, I'm not a freaking market analyst or expert in any.
You're not?
No, that was a lie. I am, but kind of like they're putting so much money, we said earlier, into these huge AAA 1,000 people working on them games. Or what was it? That Ubisoft game with the pirate ships.
Oh no!
Where they're like, it's a quadruple A game, and it just sank as fast as one of the pirate ships.
Yeah.
I think
what was that game called?
It doesn't matter because it's bad. It didn't do well. But the whole and it's funny because now all these AA games where the budget is smaller, the teams are significantly smaller, but the quality is slowly reaching up to that AAA quality in terms of like fidelity, like able to kind of really just fidelity, because that's kind of like most people they think AA, they're like, oh, you mean like little indie games that look like, oh, Undertale, yeah, huh, cute. It's a cute little game. But like with the Claire Obscura, like that's a AA game,
Mm-hmm.
and it looks
it's a $50 game as well. It's not full price. It's
looks
like
better
50
than
bucks.
it looks better than some AAA.
Everything else.
You know what I mean? So
yeah.
I see hope within the AA sphere, because I feel like that gap of, it kind of worried me for a while, because we were getting diminishing returns of graphics, where like every generation it's like, yeah, okay, big whoop. Like I lived through the SNES to N64 era, where it's like, oh my gosh, what is this? This is insane. Now it's like PS4, PS5. I'm like, the grass looks better. I don't know, like, cool.
And I think that's what Nintendo is like. They're coming out of this new console, and instead of just saying like, here's more graphics, they're like,
it can play PS4.
Now you can, because we built this from the ground up for the new console, now you can smash through the world, and you won't see a frame drop, because that they're doing more interesting things with the hardware. It's like, now we can do this crazy thing. Now we can, you can break apart this world that used to, you couldn't touch because the whole game would crash, because it's just, to me, that's so much more interesting than just saying graphic bigger. We got big graphic.
And I think
so many graphic.
Starting at like PS3 era, 2007, 2008, like we became so hard on graphics. We're like, oh yeah, look at those freaking graphics. Oh my gosh, those freaking graphics. And I think that those diminishing returns, man, like it's just like, it's not impressive anymore. But
and it's unsustainable also.
In a good way, because it's diminishing quality, where it's like, can't really get much better, not really noticeably better, but that gives a chance for AA games to start looking just as good with smaller teams, smaller budgets, and that gives more room
for focused direction, right, instead of make a game.
Instead of like, 7 companies working on one game for 8 years, it's a small team with a focused director, just making something interesting and good. So yeah. I think that's about it.
Yeah. Thank you for staying with us and watching the show. We like to let you know. We got critical beards. We're sorry for being weird. Catch us next week on Wednesday. Thank you, everybody.
Bye. We love you.
Good night.
Have a good day.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, everybody.
Call your mom. Tell your lover. Bye.
Follow me on Orange Sky.